Welcome to today's webinar on empowering startups against social engineering. As a founder or business owner, you will be able to learn how to strengthen your cybersecurity defenses. So we encourage you to let us know where you're joining in from, type in your name and location in the chat box. So let's get started. I'm Chomonyekelu, a blockchain forensics specialist at A&D Forensics, and I'm here with my colleagues, Mr. Abdulafiz, our cybersecurity lead, and Mr. Adedeji Owenibi, our senior partner. But before I hand over to Mr. Abdulafiz, I would like to explain and talk about what we do here at A&D Forensics. So A&D Forensics is Africa's blockchain intelligence service provider, and we trace and investigate cryptocurrency related crimes. And we've partnered with leading blockchain analytic firms like Chainalysis, Blockchain Intelligence Group, Chain, CoinFirm, and others. Our services include cryptocurrency investigation and crypto compliance services. So we offer compliance services specifically to Web3 founders, startups, and we have a solution called Compliance as a Service by A&D Forensics.
In addition, we also offer training services. To law enforcement, we have the Certified Cryptocurrency Investigation course, which teaches the law enforcement how to trace and investigate cryptocurrency crimes. So we train both the EFCC, the MPF for our partners here in Nigeria. We also train for you to become a certified cryptocurrency compliance specialist, and that's the 3CS course. Also, we offer smart contract audit services. So if you're building any project on Web3 platform, you can always come to us for your smart contract audits. And our service also includes cybersecurity, which is why we're here. So I believe I'll be able to let you know part of our services at E&D Forensic. So if you have any question, please feel free to drop it in the chat box. So before I hand over to Mr. Abdulafiz, I would like to let you know that you're encouraged to actually participate in this section. As a proof of attendance, you are actually needed to make a comment in the section. So even if you want to let us know your name or tell us something that you have learned so far or ask a question, so it's from the names that we pick from the comments that would, those are the names that will be eligible for the giveaway at the end of the session. And please make sure you stay till the end. You could be the lucky winner. So at this point, I would like to hand over to our cybersecurity lead, Mr. Abdullahi.
Okay, thank you, Choma, for that awesome presentation. Hello, everyone. My name is Abdul Hafiz Ibrahim. I'm the cybersecurity lead for A&D Forensics. The theme of today's webinar is empowering startups in the aspect of social engineering attacks. So most of us that are in the cybersecurity space already know the prevalence of social engineering. And also, as Choma already stated, we focus mostly on Web3 application on Web3 related services. And I'm sure most of you that know about Web3 will have heard of things like human scam and pig butchering. If you look deeply at these terms, you will get to know that these are all under the umbrella of social engineering, because a person will have to convince you into releasing most of this information that gets you breached. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Mukhtar Bello. Dr. Mukhtar is a celebrated expert in the cybersecurity profession. He has worked with both private and the federal government of Nigeria and holding different positions. So at this point, I'll hand over to Dr. Mukhtar to take it from here. Dr. Mukhtar, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Abdul, and A&D Forensics. I don't know if you can enable me to share my screen. I don't have the privileges to do that.
Okay. Just a minute, please.
Dr. Mutar, great to finally meet you. I sent you a message to connect to appreciate you.
Yes.
I think
yes.
we'll connect more after this. Welcome. Glad to see you there.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Okay, you can go ahead and share your screen now.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, visible. It's visible.
All right, thank you. Once again, thank you for the opportunity to be able to have this webinar. Quite interesting at a time when we hear such stories about cybersecurity incidents as well as embracing artificial intelligence for quite a number of things. Like he rightly mentioned, my name is Mokhtar Bello, and I will be taking you through this webinar on empowering startups against social engineering, strengthening your cybersecurity defenses as a founder and business owner. I'm sure quite a number of you have been, gotten spam emails in regards to someone being the son of a late African dictator, or handsome prince, or beautiful princess offering riches, wealth, and marriage proposal. If your answer is yes, then probably you've received a scam email. As technology becomes advanced, sophisticated, and more connected, so have cyber criminals. Cyber criminal, according to a research, would cost the global economy close to $2.1 trillion. That was in 2020. Do you need to see my face, or you're okay like this? Shall I go on?
Yes, it's fine. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
It's fine. It's fine, Doctor.
All right, that's fine. So basically, I begin with a philosophical quote by Socrates, a philosopher. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. And that's quite apt when it comes to cybersecurity, because the day you assume you know everything, you have defenses, then it's going to be a big problem for you. A disclaimer, this is going to be within the digital ecosystem, and these are my views, and does not represent the views of any of the organizations I have affiliation to. Yes, I currently am in University of Salford, Manchester. I'm doing cybersecurity research on cybercrime, AI, terrorism. Also lecture as a visiting lecturer in quite a number of universities in Nigeria, namely the Air Force Institute of Technology, NDA, Bello University and University of Abuja. I also consult for the UNODC, United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. We're working on helping the armed forces, police, and some paramilitary agencies in collecting digital forensics evidence and using that in court to prosecute terrorists, because there's quite a number of digital footprints that we're behind. So I've been to court before. I've testified in military court martial, federal high court. So I have a bit of an idea where this whole social engineering fits into. I mean, if there's anything we are good in, it's we can, what Nigerians call, you can wash. Like say wash. It's not actually meaning the person is lying, but it has its roots in one of the Ponzi schemes we have across the globe. So just a bit of a digital footprint of the world. We have just about 80 billion users, 8 billion rather, 8 billion total population. Unique market in terms of mobile numbers, you have about 5 billion. I mean, the number keeps on changing by the day. Nigeria has about more than 100 million internet users. However, that is close to just 50% penetration. So we still have about 50% of Nigerians that are not using the internet, and we have the social media statistics. It's also important to know that just like we're just going to discuss Web 3.0, it's important to know how social media is going to play a role in empowering business owners, entrepreneurs, because they're going to leverage social media quite a lot to be able to, reach out to the market if they want to sell their products or whatever services they're offering. So we have, quite a bit of a competition between Meta and some really Chinese companies coming up, TikTok, WeChat. So Web 3.0, it's more of a convergence of, integration of different, identities online into one. And that's what blockchain is all about, being decentralized, and nobody has control over your data but you yourself. So social engineering, before, just a bit of statistics, most cyber attacks takes about 49 days to be able to detect. I mean, that's more than a month, and we've seen quite a number of losses. I mean, it cannot be quantified because quite a number of the Ponzi schemes are from social engineering. And now, because of how we're all connected, it's very difficult for you to even know which of your followers or the pages you're going to are not scammed. They're quite good in doing that, and we've seen that has risen up to about 79% in businesses and customers. Because when you say small and medium enterprise, you're looking at between 10 to 15 employees. How do you want to leverage digital innovation? The moment you innovate digitally, you're more likely to become victim of cybercrime. So how do you protect yourselves from all these schemes going on around the world? So I'm glad I saw one or two of my 200 level students where I teach introduction to digital forensics. And I always ask them, what is crime? Crime, is it nature? Is it environment? Is it because maybe one of your family members is a criminal? Then what happens? This picture is quite deliberate because for those of us that can remember, internet access was a privilege for you to have internet access at home. And for quite a number of us that didn't have internet at home, we had to leverage in cyber cafes that were offering these services. So we're making friends on Yahoo. Yahoo then was the very popular, messaging application we're using to chat and talk to other people from other countries. And quite a number of quite a number of people also abuse the use of Yahoo. That's why the name Yahoo goes. It's not because as of that time it was better than MSN or any other chatting app. Yahoo was just it. So this has changed really. Rather now we're chasing them. And well, we can't see them, we can't touch them, we don't know their names, their identities. And this is what digital inclusion has done. It has enabled us to be able to reach quite a number of people, but at the same time, it has brought us very close to for those that want to take advantage of that. We've seen quite a number of, this is, I think for us to empower startups against social engineering, they need to know the environment they're operating in. We're working in an environment whereby every day you're going to see either on LinkedIn, KG, or social media blog that this madam, this is what she did to her household. And because of social media, Instagram, Twitter, people are able to take action. We've seen police officers being dismissed for taking bribe online. Well, somebody was recording, even the most celebrated case now is of Shane Kuti. Somebody took a video, and because of that video, they're charging him to court. So it's important to know how do you protect yourself from a system that has all the players. It's no longer, okay, this place is a dodgy area, do not go there after 6 o'clock. The internet itself, it's a dodgy area, depending on how cyber hygienic you are in not going to website that you shouldn't go. Then you make yourself prone. So we have a lot of traditional crimes that have been enabled by cybercrime. If I may just go back. So for the purpose of this presentation, I'm going to give definition of cybercrime into two areas. Cyber-enabled crimes are those crimes that are enabled by technology, like bullying. You have cyberbullying, like stalking. You have cyber stalking, impersonation. So all these are traditional crimes, including social engineering. Before, somebody had to meet you physically to tell you oh, I have this land, it belongs to my late grandfather, it's part of my inheritance, I want to sell it. Now all he does, he goes online, creates a profile, and try to gain your trust. And before you know it, he's scamming you money, just to maybe say you get 5% of $1 million, and quite a number of us falls for that. Secondly, is the cyber-dependent crime. Those crimes are dependent on technology, like malicious software, distributed denial of service, business email compromise. They cannot take place without the use of technology. So it's very, very important to know that social engineering, it's a cyber-enabled crime, but it's beginning to look like it's dependent on technology with AI. What happens when ChatGPT 4.0, begin to get all these prompts on how do I scam people, how do I steal, how do we, moderate ChatGPT, and that has been a debate across universities. I just had a meeting, back-to-back meeting in my university, and we're just trying to see how do you regulate the use of it, especially when it came to plagiarism and people writing really nice papers, and you find out it was an AI that did write those papers. So for us to lay a foundation, it's important to know, why do people commit crime? Are we prone to commit crime? What are the causes of crime? What makes somebody motivated to become a Yahoo boy? What are the motivations? What deters other people from committing crime? So criminologically, criminologists have been trying to set up theories applied to cybersecurity, cybercrime. And the one that I feel is a bit apt, and I do take cyber law for 400-year students in the university, it's a routine activity theory. So routine activity theory is quite straightforward. It says that for any crime to take place in anywhere, whether you're stealing a meat from your mom's kitchen, or you're stealing a car, or you're stealing credit cards, or you're scaling from school and everything, there must be a motivated offender. You have to be motivated by something. So is it greed? Is it money? Is it revenge? They will have different reasons why do they commit these crimes. Then also there needs to be a suitable target. And the internet has converged us. Before, it was very difficult for you to go to somebody, let's say we're all in Abuja, to go to somebody in Port Harcourt and scam that person. But now, because of the internet, you don't need to go to Port Harcourt. You don't need to go to London, New York, Dubai, or Malaysia. All you do is you go online, and the internet has covered that. And lastly, there needs to be an absence of a capable guardian. You ask yourself, what is a capable guardian? That's what we're trying to do. A&D forensics, they're trying to say, okay, do vulnerability testing, penetration testing, multi-factor authentications. Are these enough to protect you from that particular motivated offender? So just keep that in mind, with more of motivated offender being the person that is committing the crime. The suitable target, it's the business owners, and the absence of a capable guardian is what do you have in place as a small and medium enterprise company, as a startup, what do you have in place to protect you against social engineering? I mean, the number one that we know, it's called IGM, I go marry you. Somebody befriends you, sends you a message. The most interesting thing I noticed now, a lot of the ladies being scammed, they're coming back to Nigeria to marry the criminals that scammed them. So you begin to ask yourself, I mean, have we accepted that that is a Nigerian variant of social engineering? I mean, quite a lot to discuss on that. Also, this one is it's a scheme. It used to happen face to face, but because of emails, social media, basically the scam, okay, they have $1 million. All I need is 200,000 naira from you, and I'll give you a certain percentage of the. Excuse me. I'll give you a certain percentage of the money, and the scam is buying the chemicals. That's where the name wash comes. You need a chemical to wash Once you watch it, I'll give you $1 million or $100,000 for 215 naira. Like, okay, that's a good one. 215 naira, $100,000. We're talking about almost 79 million naira for 250,000. So quite a number of us being suitable targets. Sometimes it's either you're naive, you're not aware of these schemes, or you're also greedy. I mean, it's quite interesting to find that people want to make money without paying money or paying for any price to make money. So we have quite a number of this still happening. Mr. Hush. So Hush Puppy told us something that, look, he's what you call the grass to grace, within the cyberspace. I mean, I quite a number of my students, when I mention his name, they're like, that's the landlord, that's Baba. I'm like, look, what can you learn from what is happening about Hush Puppy? Hush Puppy literally gave all the evidence against him on Instagram. So it wasn't somebody that said Hush Puppy is a criminal. All the evidence that were used against Hush Puppy were found on his Instagram page. And you ask myself, what do I mean by that? If Hush Puppy buys a Bugatti Veyron or a new Maybach or a brand new watch, he flaunts it on the internet, it's on his page. Most laws that I know have setting, criminal justice response to money laundering. That means they want to know the source of your income. Hush Puppy, a Bugatti Veyron is close to $1 million, for example. Where do you have $1 million? Where did you get it from? Where do you work? Do you have inheritance? Are you part of a royal family? You understand? Just basic question. And what it shows that the lack of the multiple jurisdiction. I mean, Hush Puppy was caught taking $100 from different accounts of Americans that got some COVID. So America said, okay, for 1 year, nobody has been working and you've lost money and everything. Okay, we'll be giving you like $2,000 per month, but all you need is your email address to register. So Hush Puppy created close to 2,000 to 4,000 requests, and he got millions of dollars. I mean, but before that, he was scamming obviously different people in the Arab world, Middle East, Nigeria. But when he touched the United States, it changed because they have bilateral agreement with the UAE, and they were able to arrest him. He's spending time, he's doing restitution, giving back money they are stolen. So it says a lot that sometimes you might feel you are getting yourself out there, but at the same time, I mean, a criminal would just take for notice. Let's say my birthday is today, 22nd June, and I put that, and the next day I put my ID card, I work in XYZ, and the next day I am in Calabar or somewhere else. I have already given you digital footprints. I mean, a rapper was killed in the United States because his girlfriend, shared the location of them eating in KFC. I think it's KFC or Roscoe's Chicken, I forgot it. So you can imagine he was killed because somebody gave out his, and how much of our information are out there, and how much do we contribute to somebody socially engineering us and taking advantage. Also, very, very important for you to understand the dynamics of social engineering. You need to know how the web grew. I mean, for those that used internet in Nigeria, I remember the first time it came was in Lagos. For those that used Hyperia, 98, 99, all of a sudden, the internet was there. Very static, but at least it was better than the traditional way of socializing. Then 2.0 came, was social network, cloud, and we're seeing Web 3.0 now, where you see Bitcoin, blockchain technology, and artificial intelligence, machine learning, and augmented reality. So we're seeing quite a number of changes. And with these changes coming, the likelihood of the vulnerabilities do increase. I understand Web 3.0 is supposed to give you a bit of a, relief that, okay, it's Web 3.0 has security features and everything. But at the same time, you have to understand that the criminal is also progressing. So if you had a criminal that was criminal 1.0, now he's also criminal 4.0. I mean, he has gotten some information, he's well equipped, he's sophisticated, he's technically savvy. So just like technology progresses, the tendencies of those attacks will also increase. So how do you empower startups? Web 3.0 promised to decentralize everything, so you're not going to have one place where all the information is. It has interoperability with emergence of different platforms. You can use different platforms, different login details, permissionless. That means you don't require authorization. It might seem okay for a startup, but at the same time, it's quite funny, because if the criminal has all these advantages as well, how can he use it? Allows you to self-govern yourself. The whole purpose of the internet was to give you control. So Web 3.0 is trying to say, okay, look, I have so much data about me. That's why you have Data Protection Act and laws. I have so much data about me. I need to have a control. I mean, if I did something and it was reported in the news, with the Data Protection Act, you have a right to be forgotten. You can say, okay, after 2 years, yeah, I did something bad, but really, I want to govern the information about myself. And 3.0 also offers a bit of a secure network, and I mean the user experience and interface. We've seen a bit of sophistication with blockchain, and blockchain, it's still being embraced. I mean, one of the discussion we had today in the university was how do you, how do you get lecturers to embrace AI? And the problem was that we've seen quite a number of students submitting really good papers, but we're still seeing some drawbacks of ChatGPT for those that have work. You can have the free version. I think 3.5 is free, and 4.0 you have to pay for it. So how do we, increase the knowledge? And my concern has always been the knowledge, attitude, and practice of staff and students is not aligned. One, the knowledge. The students are more likely, they were born in the year 2000 up, and they're more technically savvy, they're very sophisticated, so they'll be more knowledgeable about AI than the professors. Then the attitude of somebody that is in his 40s, 50s, that embraced technology 10, 15 years ago, is more likely to lean on the traditional way of doing things and practice. So we're going to see they're not aligning, and we need to build that capacity of staff and also students to be able to, rather than say, no, we're not going to embrace it, we say, okay, how can we use it? Because when I went to university, there was no Google, so that means all my research, I had to go to the library and get a book and do all that. And you can imagine now with ChatGPT, it can literally write a book for you. So not to waste too much time. Other strategies against social engineering, it's very, very important. Multi-factor authentication, I'm seeing that across a lot of platforms. Biometric security questions, OTP, it's very, very important, because even if somebody logs in with your details, you can get a message that will tell you, are you the person who will always send you a message? I'm glad, A&D does penetration testing, it's very important. How vulnerable is my business? Before I digitize my business, I'm used to selling cupcakes, for example. I want to open an Instagram account. It's doing really well. I have 3,000 followers. Fine. I want to set up my own web that people can go, web application or website. So you need to put certain considerations, security consideration in place. Digital footprint. No matter what you think you've done on the internet. I mean, one of my students asked me that if I use incognito Chrome web browser, will that information still be on the system? And even incognito, they will tell you that your ISP keeps such information, because if you're in Nigeria, you know that we have the Cybercrime Act, and under the Cybercrime Act, there are responsibilities of certain stakeholders, and one of the stakeholders are the mobile network operators and ISPs. They are mandated to keep your data for Yes. So it's very, very important to know, even though you delete all the information from your phone, your laptop, there's a likelihood that information is still out there. Most important thing, the first line of defense is you, and the only way you can defend yourself is to be aware. So it's very, very important for you to keep that in mind. Email sender verification, it's very, very important, and also enabling web spam filters. It's very, very important to know that we do have policies in place for cyber crimes, cyber conflict, cyber espionage, and terrorism. And we've seen quite a number of sophistication in some of this. If I tell when I go to Maiduguri, northeast of Nigeria, to train the soldiers on how to extract information, it's very funny because we've seen sophistication from some of the Boko Haram commanders using certain social media apps that I've never even had before for communicating. So just when you think WhatsApp is it, then you hear of another tool coming up. So it's very, very important. If you have the time, look at these security policies, this document, and to give you more of an idea of the responsibilities you have as a stakeholder, because the moment you open up a startup, you're going to start collecting private data of people. You need to make sure your website is very secure, because the moment there's any cybersecurity breach by the Data Protection Act, you're going to be fined certain amount of money for allowing those data not to be secure. I always tell people when I go to Domino's to buy pizza and the lady asks me my phone number, I give them my phone number, and the next thing she'll be like, okay, just check out. And the next day, I get a call from her or get a message, hello, uncle, I am so person that sold this thing. I'm selling clothes. I want to open my own factory. You know, that then to me, Domino's has not protected my data. So it's very, very important as you start up any kind of company, you have to put all these laws, because ignorance of the law is not an on its own. And we have quite a number of them. We have the Terrorism Act, the Data Protection Act, Cybersecurity Policy, National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy. So just have a bit of time. I'm sure Abdul will be able to share some of this information. I'll send him some of the links. So it's very, very important, whatever environment you are, you're not in isolation of the world. We're seeing quite a number of digital literacy increasing in Africa, which is very, very important, because with digital literacy, that means people can have inclusive economic growth. They'll be able to pay for their taxes. They'll be able to do quite a number of things online, but they need to also make sure that they're well aware and they'll be able to secure that particular information they're seeking. So we're seeing artificial intelligence, machine learning. I mean, you hear people saying that, AI can kill somebody, can do that. Yes, it's very possible. I mean, there's nothing literally stopping you now from searching on Google how to steal somebody's money, how to become a Yahoo boy, how to, develop a nuclear weapon. You're going to get all sorts of information from that. So it's very, very important to know that even though those informations are out there, that doesn't mean there isn't an algorithm that can pick up when you're searching of pornographic pictures of children. That's quite sensitive. And when I know in the UK and other countries, it's one of the most difficult form of investigation to do, online sexual exploitation, because you have to look at these pictures to see if they are exploited. I mean, it even becomes so bad that you have to undergo psychological evaluation as an investigator. But with AI now and machine learning, we're able to detect without actually looking at the pictures. So technology is making quite a number of improvement in law enforcement. We've seen blockchain technology, evidence-based policing. It's very, very important to know that putting a CCTV and putting lights on the street, does it reduce the tendency of somebody committing crime, rather than not having CCTV and also not having light in the street? So you look at these things and they are gradually innovating. I mean, a lot of you go to hospitals for the good or wrong reasons when you're sick, or you take someone, and nowadays everything is not in the file. The doctor will just type your prescription, go to the lab. So we're seeing quite a collection of your data. And the problem is, once somebody has access to the how secure is your data with the hospital, with the bank, with the bakery store, with Domino's, KFC? How secure is your data? And if it's not secure, like, who is there to make sure that there is a fine on somebody? And now with the Data Protection Act signed, we're going to see, I'm so sorry to say, we're going to see quite a number of futuristic crimes. I mean, I discussed with one of my class, I'm like, can somebody be raped online? It became a very hot topic back and forth. Was a celebrated case in Israel. I think you should look at that, whereby somebody can use technology, enable technology to manipulate somebody to commit a particular crime. I think we have 1 or 2 persons we need to reduce the volume. Okay, we're going to see quite a number of AI crimes. And if AI on its own goes and gets your information and gives it to a criminal who is committing the crime, is it ChatGPT, or is it the criminal that types, I want to know how many, let's say, Nigerians are living in Manchester that are driving, that are registered with this university? And that information will come up, like, how are the ethical considerations to put in place? I mean, the most scary one is the ability of AI to, on its own, detect that, no, I feel I just want to have a nuclear holocaust or whatever it's called. So how intelligent is AI? Is it as intelligent as the person making it to think this way, or a bit of time it will begin to learn on its own? I don't know if some of you have seen the movie I and Megan. Megan is just the right movie you need to see about how artificial intelligence is able to learn on its own and take decisions on its own as well. Futuristic policing, like I mentioned, the best thing is to prevent. Make sure you do the due diligence, you open your account, it's secure, you don't compromise the security of your website or your startup company, because the thing is going to happen. You have this idea, you put it somewhere, somebody can steal that idea and use it. So we're going to see quite a number of embracing of technology, especially when it has to do with science-based and intelligence-driven investigation. Finally, like I mentioned, very, very important, the 3 Ps. Stakeholders, people, whoever is a stakeholder, the user, people, the law enforcement. The platform is very important. There are quite a number of good applications that you should have on the Web 3.0. Very good and very well secure for now. And also, it's very important. I'm a proponent of technology enabling processes rather than driving processes. And with that, I mean, technology is able to understand what the processes are, and the ones that need to be enabled should be enabled, and not drive the whole process with technology, which really, in the quest of getting more followers, you end up making yourself vulnerable. And finally, one of my senior colleague always use this at the end of a presentation, the ABC of cybercrime or cybercrime investigation. First, A, assume nothing. B, believe nothing. C, check everything. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Mukhtar, for a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. I actually learned a lot from the presentation. So we have 10 minutes for questions. If you have any, kindly raise your hand, please.
I think we have some hands raised. Wow. Great presentation, Dr. Mukhtar. I think we raised a lot of cybersecurity experts from tonight. At least if they're akin to the principles, especially the ABC.
Yeah, that's, but it's not APC, it's ABC. So
ABC, yeah, ABC.
yes,
ABC.
yes.
Assume nothing.
Believe nothing.
Yeah.
Check everything.
And check everything. Yeah. If we do that, I think that would be the great thing. But can we really check everything, doctor?
I'm hoping to see somebody that can. Hopefully an AI machine.
Yeah. Okay, Abdul,
Okay,
can we take those that have their hands raised up?
Yeah. So, Snip, I think Snip Consulting is the first question, first person to raise his hand. Please go ahead.
Okay, good evening. Okay, my question is, and thank you, Dr. Mukta, for the presentation. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, my question is on the 3 Ps that you have mentioned, especially with regards to the role of stakeholders and enforcement authorities or investigative authorities and all. And to what extent have they built capacity, especially in our own country that you have, and you see a lot of traditional methods still being used by our law enforcement agents. So to what extent have they built capacity? Do they have the right infrastructure or platforms, to be able to deploy all of these AIs and what have you? Then secondly, I just want to ask again, the name of the movie you mentioned. You mentioned the name of one AI movie.
Eagle
You
Eye.
said what?
Eagle
Yes,
Eye.
the AI movie.
And
Google what?
Eagle Eye. I'll type it on the.
Oh, okay. All right, those are my questions. Thank you.
Just a quick one. To what extent have they built capacity? If you ask me this question 10, 15 years ago, I'll tell you little. I know we've seen quite a number of sophistication, not just in Africa, but across sub-Saharan Africa, in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Egypt, where technology has been used to enable investigation. And notwithstanding, a lot of this information are being kept by private sector with certain laws to be able to protect that information. So they can never be enough. I can assure you, you're more likely going to have more criminals than more cybercrime investigators. So how do you play catch up? How do you embrace technology? How do you use technology? It takes quite a while, a paradigm shift for you to move traditionally from communicating to, my dad, for example, doesn't know how to do video call on WhatsApp. He has to call somebody, for example, because his generation are not likely to use certain technologies. However, you can still find some within that generation are able to do quite a lot with technology. So I think it's work in progress, but across board, I can tell you this without you raising any, raising any suspicion to what I'm saying. It's we're playing catch up. We're playing catch up. That's just the truth of the matter. However, we've made progress. The criminal justice system has changed. Forensics. I was reading today that forensics was one of the evidence, accepted in the election tribunal, whereby they were able to show that certain number of beavers within FCT, all the information was deleted using what? Digital forensics. So I think if you were around during 2003 presidential election tribunal, 2007, 11, and 15, you know that we're making progress. And because the beavers is involved, the beavers has digital footprint. So there is no way you can delete information and think you cannot get that information back. So I think technology has innovated the electoral system. It has innovated healthcare delivery, education. Quite a number of public schools that didn't even have a Zoom account. Because of COVID, they were able to have Zoom account, and be able to communicate. I mean, I went to Kaduna the other time to lecture. On my way to the university, I switched on the radio in my car, and they were doing maths lesson for students that were at home because of COVID. So I think we have a long way to go. However, I think we're making good progress.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. I think the next person on the line is Mohammed Shehu. Please make it brief as we are running out of time. Thank you.
Sorry, Mohammed, we can't hear
you. You are muted.
Mohammed, you're mute. You're mute. Okay.
Thank you very much for a well-researched and delivered paper, Daftar. When I'm looking at the issue of cybersecurity in Nigeria, what comes into my mind is the research that was carried out by Mark Weiser, in which he envisaged that in the nearest future, we are going to reach an era which he termed as scam computing era, which according to him is an era whereby technology will appear to you when you need it and it will disappear when you don't need it. And whereby he look at the challenges of that, or the problem the world is going to face are security and privacy. With the coming of the 5G in Nigeria, I just want to ask the doctor, what is the future of digital forensic?
For those of you, thank you very much, Muhammad. And it's quite funny. I was looking at this particular Mike Weiser paper a couple of days back. What's the future of digital forensics? Digital forensics is dependent on digital innovation. The more digitally innovated we are, the more likely you are to do things online on the digital footprint. For those of you that are practitioners of digital forensics has different variation. You have mobile, you have computing, you have cloud, you have network forensics. I mean, the one most people know is network forensics for those that do ethical hacking and the rest. So digital forensics, it's more proactive, more reactive rather. It's when something has happened, you're trying to find out what actually took place. So if somebody uses a mobile device to threaten you, and for me to know, I have to examine your phone and his phone to be able to ascertain that particular threat. So the moment technology innovates, which is, like I mentioned, it's rapidly innovating. Quite a number of people in the UK don't even go with their ATM. I mean, they have their phones it's linked to the card, so they just use to make payment. And digital forensics, unfortunately for us, is going to be here. It's the best. It takes time. It's the best way to get what they call historical data. What has happened? It's not lawful interception. Lawful interception is when you lawfully intercept communication. You're able to know who is talking to whom, what are they trying to do, are they criminals, are they terrorists? Digital forensics will tell you what has been done. From day one, I've always been scared of what happens on the phone. That's why there's likelihood of me never going to give anybody my phone. Even if my sister comes, I'd rather get money and buy her a new phone, because I know if I give her my old phone, she's going to go to Banex or somewhere, add more money from another brother and buy a new phone. So the moment that phone is not with me, I'm very conscious of the fact that that information of mine is still out there. We've seen people that have been arrested by police because they tracked a phone that belonged to an armed robbery victim. Somebody was killed somewhere in Nigeria, and they resell that phone. And you went to a shop and you bought a second-hand phone without knowing the history of that particular person. So it's very, very important. Digital forensics is the best way to get information, period, for now. But like you mentioned, on computing era, will there be a time? Yes. You're also aware that we're playing a bit of catch-up in Nigeria. So we haven't seen how 5G can be implemented across quite a number of platforms. We haven't seen, I know people that are still on 3G that haven't gone to do a welcome back to upgrade to 4G. You understand? So we have just 50% of our population, like 100 million, are using the internet. So you still have people that are not within the digital ecosystem. So it's a good research, but there will come a time that, yes, traditional digital forensic methodology might not apply. And when that time comes, I think we've made quite a number of progress in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Why I ask this question, recently the Nigerian government, through the Nigerian Communication Commission, issued license to 25 companies to act as mobile network virtual operators. So what I'm looking at, why I ask this question, because I'm envisaging, as you said, there is going to be a lot of cyber, crime and cybersecurity issues in the nearest future. So that is why I'm asking, what is the future in that regard of the digital forensic? Has the sum of the mobile virtual network operators are coming off, to act on the existing infrastructure of already mobile network operators we have in Nigeria?
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mentioned, it just makes us suitable target, because the more people are enrolled to mobile network virtual, people getting official license, it's good that they are regulated. It's good that we're having these policies, but I mean, that information, no matter how we want it, that information by law is still being kept by the ISPs. So there's a bit of due diligence, KYC, know your customers. And I came to the UK in March. I think after like a day, my MTN SIM stopped working. So I called somebody from MTN. I need to sort out my SIM. Can somebody pick up my new SIM? They're like, no, I have to physically come to Nigeria to do a welcome back. And for like a month, because all my OTPs, everything are on my mobile device. So I had to fly to Nigeria. So NCC has made it difficult for you to even get. So the more these technologies are coming, the more you look at the vulnerabilities, and people like A&D Forensics will be able to tell you, okay, this is how we can help you secure that information.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you. We can only take 2 more questions before we go. We're already out of time. So please, Victor, Annie, please quickly and briefly.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Mukhtar, for that insightful presentation. So my question is pertaining startup founders. One of the things that piqued my interest to,
Can you say that again?
Yeah, can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
It's faint, Victor, if you could speak louder.
Okay. All right, so my question is regarding startup founders.
Okay.
Right. So what steps should startup founders take to ensure compliance with the data protection policy or regulations in Nigeria? So as a startup founder, what am I expected to do, or what steps should I take to ensure that my startup is compliant with data protection regulations or policy that we have in Nigeria? Thank you.
I think I mentioned something that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. And I think what a lot of startups are, their understanding about the digital ecosystem they want to start with. It's very important that there is a bit of training, first of all, on what technologies you're going to use. You can go quite a number of online platforms to see reviews of technology. Very, very important for those of you that ISO 27001, governance, risks, and compliance is very, very important. So there are standards, 9001, which is for quality management system. So you have a digital ecosystem online that tells you the minimum framework to set up an online business and protect it. Yes, it might cost money to get certain applications. Yes, it might cost money to hire a cybersecurity expert. And the key word there is expert. What makes somebody an expert? Just because you have one or two accreditations or certification, then you become an expert. You're giving your opinion based on what you know. So it's very, very important that there's a bit of, I'm sure we have quite a number of associations out there. I know CSN, I know Nigerian Commuter Society, and quite a number of them are coming up, and they build on capacity of their members. So the most important thing is know the business environment you're going to, who are the actors, how do I get into this business? Is there any need to use technology to create a startup? What kind of technology am I going to use? Who should have access? Where am I hosting my application? What kind of application am I using? So there's a checklist rather of that. When you go to the NCC's website and also CBN, they give you certain parameters, certain minimal ICT infrastructure that needs to be in place. Well, quite a number of the startups, because of angel founders and the rest, they're getting some money and they're able to host their applications out of the country. However, there's some really good companies in Lagos, Abuja, that are capable of doing that. So it's very, very important. The governance, risks, and compliance for startup, the startup bill was signed into law. Look at that document. Data Protection Act was signed last week. Look at that document as well. The digital economy policy 2020 to 2030. These are documents that are very, very important. If you can't read them, at least get a lawyer, somebody that understands where you're going to, and determine your terms of reference. Because the moment you start collecting data, the moment you start keeping data, then you have certain ethical, obligation to your client that you're collecting data from. So it's very, very important that there isn't like a template for everything, but you need to make sure you cross your T's and dot your I's rather.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. I think the last person we can take question from is Olakunle Taiwo before we go for the raffle draw. Olakunle, please briefly. Thank you. Olakunle, are you with us? Olakunle, are you with us?
Atikule dropped a question.
Okay.
He dropped a question, and I'm saying there's no way to disrupt them other than seize the items and disrupt the bad guys and all that. So I think he's just dropping an opinion. He's a cyber security specialist from the Nigerian police. So I think we can summarize so we can release Dr. Mukhtar. You want the raffle draw again, just to tell participants at A&D Forensic, we decided we're going to do some vulnerability assessment, pen testing for some selected startups, just to be sure. For us, as a case in point, we have a sister company called Convexity, and the teams we build in that place, we ship it to our cybersecurity team, and they try to check the vulnerabilities, they try to hack them, and surprisingly, we discover that those so-called things you say you built, even from the so-called expert, you discover the ethical hackers are in those softwares. So, and we think it is very important for startups to take cybersecurity very seriously. And that is the reason why we are partnering to make sure that this is taken to you directly. Just to add to the question whether our law enforcement are ready, I think Dr. Mukhtar have done some justice to that. We are moving. I won't say we are there, just like he said, we are moving. I remember the first time, again, we are, A&D Forensic is the first company within Sub-Saharan Africa that does what we call cryptocurrency or blockchain analysis or blockchain forensics. And when we decided our law enforcement need to know about those things, we took the campaign to the EFCC first. We had to train EFCC pro bono in Lagos, Port Harcourt, Benin, and we concluded it in their headquarters in Abuja. And it was just clear that there's a new money in town, and therefore the art of investigating this new money have to change. So it's still digital forensics, but again, understanding the underlying technology, we assist the digital forensic practitioner to be able to track this down. So we're doing that across law enforcement as our own way to contribute to what they're doing. I think currently we are having an appointment with the Nigerian police to train 100 of the police officers with this. And you know the normal police arrangement. They are asking how much are we paying them to train them for free. so, so it's a very serious matter, and I think that's the domain of Dr. Mukhtar. We can talk about this later to see how much we can do synergy for them to really know what is up. We've also done that with the Nigerian Cyber Warfare Command, and that was great. I think we have some fine officers there that understand cybersecurity very properly. And just to add the digital asset side to all that. So why we're taking this further is for startups to understand that is beyond the enthusiasm of building software for fintech and all that. It's just making it a honeycomb for the cyber criminals to take care if they know you have not done the due diligence and the relevant standard like Dr. Mukhtar mentioned. So we can take those questions. I think thereafter the rapid draw, we can take those questions and relate to you after this meeting. Then also, I think the presentation will be available. They will also share with participants for them to digest through to make sure that happens. So yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Mukhtar. So over to you, Abdulaziz, for the referral.
Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen. We've captured the list of names of people that participated. So we'll be spinning a wheel now to select a person that will win the free vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Please tell me if you can see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen, please.
Yes, I can see your screen, please.
All right. So we'll be spinning, and wherever it stops, that's the winner. And hopefully the person is still on the call.
Okay, Victor Ani.
So Victor Ani, but we'll have to confirm if you have a platform we can actually do a vulnerability assessment and penetration testing on. Else we'll have to move to the next person.
Hello, Victor.
Ani,
Do I have a software you're building? Do you have any app you're working on?
Yes. Well, I have an app that my team's currently working on.
Okay, great. Okay. That means we have a winner.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We look forward to more of these events in educating startups in the aspect of vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Thank you for your time. I don't know if any of my colleagues still have anything to contribute before we leave.
Yes, just to thank all the participants and most especially our presenter for today for doing justice to the topic. We thank you very much, Dr. Mukhtar, for honoring us with and also sharing your knowledge with this group, and we look forward to more of this. We'll be reaching out, and so we can continue to also educate startups. Thank you very much. We do really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for coming. And if you have any question, you can reach us at A&D Forensics on Twitter, A&D Forensic, on LinkedIn or even Facebook, and you can also reach out to either Choma or Abdul with your questions. And if there are any other thing, we can also take it up from there. So thank you everyone for your time. I think we are 10 minutes ahead of the time, but we really appreciate your presence. Thank you.
All right. Thank you everyone. Victor, and we will be reaching out to you to process the vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Do have a lovely night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.